Hey guys, it's the heart here. I've never made a video like this, but I thought I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to show my process on how I make my comic. So now I'm gonna do that. And this is weird because I'm just talking. I never just talk. I always just type. Okay, if you guys don't know, I make a comic on Webtoons and other platforms called Alone Together. I've been making this version since 2018, but I had a previous version before in 2017 that lasted like 5 episodes or something, and then I restarted for the contest Webtoons was having in 2018, and yeah. Okay, a few things before we start. I want to point out that making a comic is really hard. Even though it's still amazing and awesome and fun, it's still really hard. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of consistency. So yeah, just remember that and keep that in mind when you're like thinking of making a comic. I don't know everything about creating a comic, and it'll always be trial and error. I'm still learning things, I'm still learning how to be more efficient, but I'm just gonna tell you what I've learned over the past four years. But always remember that try new things and see what works best for you and for your productivity. Finding efficient ways that work for you to make your comic is really important. Alright, let's talk about the story. I'm just gonna give you just a little bit of writing tips. Obviously you need a story before you make a comic. I didn't outline Alone Together because it's really it's about life, so you can't outline life. You can try, but it won't work. Okay, let me stick to my script. Outline your story, build your world, then get to writing your script. But I didn't do that, obviously, I just said that. Okay, there were a lot of versions of Alone Together. When I first started, back in 2017, I don't think I even had a script. I think I just storyboarded I don't think I had a script. I think I just went with the flow, but it was just too much. So that's why I restarted over, because I wanted to have some kind of story, you know? Yeah, even now my story isn't laid out start to finish. I only have a few bullet points of what's going to happen in the future, and other than that, I'm just winging it completely. Like I said, Alone Together isn't a kind of story where I need a concrete outline before I get started. It's easier to write the script and the next thing that happens as it goes, because that's what works best for the story, because it's a slice of life. For those of you that don't know, Alone Together is about these high school students just going through life and learning their lessons. There's no amazing plotline or interesting twist. I tried to make Alone Together as real as possible, and sometimes real isn't that interesting. I wanted readers to be able to relate to the characters, so that's why I write it like this. I think it's okay writing like this for a slice of life kind of story, that make your bullet points and then you can just write the script as you go. But yeah, if you have like a fantasy story or something more complicated, then you definitely need to write an outline and do your world building and everything. Alright, I'll show you for my scripts. I just write basic statements on what's happening and what the characters are talking about. It's kind of, so I used to write very in detail when I was a kid, so that's how I kind of where was I? Yeah, it's not like really in detail, but it's not like just basic blunt statements. I like to write how the characters react to things and how they like how they say things, because then it gets the emotion that I need, right? Because yeah, storyboarding is hard, and you need to know more than just like what they're doing. In my opinion, that's what I need. This is so messy. I'm not even following my script. I'm just talking. But that's okay. But yeah, find what's best for you. If you want to write like a concrete movie script type thing, then you can do that. Or if you want to write just simple statements, you can do that. Yeah. But what you see here is what works best for me. All right, let's move on to storyboarding. So storyboarding is really, really easy, but it's also really hard sometimes. It takes not even like 2 hours to do, but it takes so much thinking. You have to be in the right mindset to translate your words from your script into panels of a comic. As you can see there's nothing really complicated. I'm just trying to get the overall composition of the panel on the canvas. This is the only time during my process where I have to listen to a specific kind of music or no music at all, because I have to completely focus and I have to keep my mind on track. This sounds weird, but I have to be in the feeling that the comic, that the episode is trying to give. So if the episode is sad, I have to, try to be sad. If the episode is happy and heartwarming, then I have to be happy, which that one isn't hard, especially now because I'm married. But yeah, you have to be really focused. I have to. I'm sorry. I'm not telling you what to do, but I have to. Okay, I did it again. I have to be really focused. I have to drown out every distraction. So I have to put my headphones on. That's why I usually listen to music, but I usually drown out the music. So yeah, or I have to be alone in the house. Sometimes it takes me, like, even though storyboarding is the hardest or the easiest part, like time consuming wise, it's definitely where I fall behind a lot. Like, the reason why most of my episodes have been late is because of this step. Because either I can't get in the right mindset, or my brain can't think enough, like, to translate the words into pictures. Yeah, but once you get into the flow of it, it's really, really easy, and yeah, you just gotta keep going. You can't stop. You can't take breaks. You have to keep going, or else you're gonna lose that mindset. At least for me. Sometimes it might be simpler for some people, but the general feeling of the comic of that episode is really important. In my episodes, my comic relies a lot on the visuals. It translates the feeling of the characters better visually than it does like with the dialogue. So yeah, I try to make this a really important step, and I try not to just go through it because I have to. If I am not in the mood to storyboard, I don't storyboard. Usually I have to read my script before I storyboard because that gets me into the mindset. So yeah, there's a tip for you. Okay, so I use Clip Studio Paint for all my art, but it's really great for comics. I used to use Photoshop for the first version of Alone Together, and you can do that, that's fine. It's not like impossible or anything, but Clip Studio Paint definitely makes it easier. So you should get it. They go on sale a lot, so just look out for those sales, follow them on Twitter. So what you're seeing here on the screen is me drawing little blobs of people, of the characters. Yeah, this is why it's the least time consuming, because it's just these little blobs, and then they're basic, like what they're doing and everything, their facial expressions, and then I write out the dialogue. That helps me get a better feel of what's happening too if I forget, like later in the sketching phase, because that'll happen. And then I type out the words later, like before sketching. Yeah, before sketching, which is after backgrounds, which is next. So let's talk about backgrounds. Okay, for backgrounds, for the architecture, I use this program called SketchUp. It's a 3D program. I use it for my buildings and stuff, all the cars and objects. Well, not objects, well, some objects, if I don't have to move them in each panel. Okay, never mind, I'm getting off track. There's a free version you can download. It's an older version, and it's kind of limited, but it gets what you need. It gets yeah, it's free. I'll leave a link for it in the description. It takes a little learning to navigate it, but once you got that down, then you're good. I don't make my models from scratch. I usually just go to the 3D warehouse they have and download a bunch of like different models that I need for the thing. So in here you'll see me putting in decorations and little stuff for the cafe. Yeah, so the cafe, it's actually like the building, it's 3 models. The interior is separate from the exterior, and the parking lot is separate from everything too. So yeah, it's not hard because you're not making anything, but yeah, it also has a shadow tool or shadow feature thing. I don't know why I mentioned that, but I like it. So also has a fog tool, so you can easily do fog. Yeah, I've used that quite a lot. Alright, after I am done making adjustments to my models, because I usually have to do that every time, like every new episode, I get the camera angles I like for the episode. I have the storyboard. I have the drawing. I have the actual episode on my other screen, and I just like guess the angle, and yeah, I just export it. Here, I'll show you something. I'll show you a quick thing. So SketchUp it exports really small, but you can change that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so you see here, this is SketchUp. Yeah, it's cool. This is Dave. Say hi to Dave. Okay, so to export, I go to export, obviously, 2D graphic, and then wherever I want to save it. And then you go to options here, and usually it's like the normal screen size, but you can change that. I have the width set to 4000, and you can also do a transparent background so that it only shows like your models and not this crap. Okay, yeah, that's it. That's handy, right? All right, very handy. Let's stop this now. Look, my script that I'm not following. Okay. All right, after everything is exported, I'm now following the script, so it's gonna sound scripted because it is. I bring everything over into Clip Studio, and I start drawing in the atmosphere and everything. So I do the sky and the clouds and the trees and the grass and everything naturey in Clip Studio Paint. And I also like do the lighting and everything and the color correction, because the colors in SketchUp are kind of bad, so I color correct it, make it pop more, make it look prettier. This step is really easy because usually I can just copy and paste all the effects and backgrounds over and just like tweak them a little bit, so it doesn't take long. This probably took me like 2 hours to do. Most of that was probably just the first panel where I had to do everything though. But what takes longer is the background characters. I hate background characters, even though they're so like, I don't have to draw them. I use like preset things from the Clip Studio Paint assets. They're like, yeah, you can see here, they're background characters. They're really simple but they take long. Like, they don't take long, but it takes, I'm picky, so it takes long, you know? You know how that is? I think you know how that is. Okay, but after that's done, and after I neglect doing background characters, like I only have a few in here, but I made the excuse that it's 3 o'clock. No one goes to a cafe at 3 o'clock. So yeah, there's only like 2 people there. Alright. Let's talk about... Oh wait, no, I forgot something. Hold on, let's not talk about that. Okay, so once all the backgrounds are done, I save it as a Clip Studio file and a PNG file. I save it as a Clip Studio file just in case I need it in future episodes, or if I need like if I need it. Just stop there, or just stop there. After it's all saved, I'll open them up in my comic. I'll have all the backgrounds in a different tab from the comic, and then I'll start piecing them. I also do the frame here for the panels. Clip Studio Paint has a really cool frame tool, so yeah, I'm using that here. It's really handy and it makes it easy. It makes everything in one folder, like all your panels. You can't draw out of the panels. It's handy. It's handy dandy. Now we can move on to the next part, which is sketching. I don't think there's anything I have to explain. I don't really sketch cleanly. I like to take more time on my lining. But yeah, so I sketch. It doesn't take a lot of time for me since I sketch very fast and messy, but it's still a lot. Like this episode was 70 panels, so yeah, really nothing complicated. You guys probably know how to sketch, so because you're looking at this video. But I will tell you the order on which I do things. I sketch the easy panels first, the like headshots and half bodies, and then I do the full bodies right before I start on the line art. For the full bodies, I use 3D models to save time because I'm not good at anatomy. I'm getting better, but I'm not like perfect at it where I can do it quickly enough to save time. So I use the 3D models. Yup. I don't think I use them in this page though, so I can't show you that. Okay, we're talking about lining now. Clip Studio Paint has vector layers, which is great for lining. It makes it really easy to correct the lines or erase. Like you can just click on a line and it'll erase it if you have the vector eraser selected. And if you need to copy lines to another panel or resize it, it doesn't pixelate them or make them blurry, so that's great. You can also like change the width of a line or like, yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, you should just get Clip Studio Paint. This definitely takes the longest lining. But it is fun. I like lining now. I used to hate lining, but I like lining now because I know my process and I know how to do it, and it's not a struggle for me. Just try to make it as clean as possible. Blah blah blah. That's what line art is for. And then, oh, I forgot to mention, I do the bubbles for the text for the dialogue, and during this, like right before I start lining. Let me start over. Right before I start lining, I do the bubbles for the dialogue and the sound effects, if there's any sound effects. Yeah, okay, I think that's everything. Yeah. Coloring. I have a lot of stuff written down here. Coloring is definitely my favorite part because I used to just color manga a lot. That's how I learned how to color. If you guys are having trouble coloring, like learning how to color and stuff, you should definitely just color manga because it's like pages from manga. Because yeah, it definitely taught me a lot. You'll see on my YouTube I have a ton of speed paints of that and you can see how I progressed in my coloring. But yeah, okay, this is also the last step, obviously. Alright, let's explain what I'm doing here. Obviously, you need to place in the flat colors first. I have my own color palettes for each of my characters, so it's easy. And I also have color palettes for my shading and lighting colors and everything. I start by masking out each character with this cool lasso tool, color fill tool. I'll link it in the description. It's really handy. You can probably use it for all your line art too, but I don't do that because I don't trust it. So I just use the fill bucket tool. Oh, here, let me show you my fill bucket tool. And then fill up to vector path is what really helps me. Because, let me stop recording. I use blending modes for my line art to color my line art, so I need to make sure my line art is filled in all the way. Alright. Okay, where am I in my script? I don't show it here, but after I'm done masking, I fill in the whites. Then I go along with the color palettes of my characters and fill in the colors. For the skin, when actually let me explain more. For the hair color, I don't fill in the hair. Oh, I didn't explain that. Oh well. So in the line art layer, or in the line art stage, I do the hair separately from everything else because it makes lining or filling in the colors easier. Right now, for the hair, I fill in the hair that connects to the skin. This probably doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna explain it to you anyway. Oh no, my husband's calling, hold on. I'm back. Okay, where was I though? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the hair. Yeah, so I fill in the hair separately, okay, let me just start over. So I go through the color palette. I usually do the hair, I just go along the color palette. And for this step, I only fill in the hair that meets the skin, and then I'll go in and turn off the line layer and then color in the skin that way. Like the eyebrows and their eyelashes don't get in the way of filling in all the lines. So yeah, that's what I do. And then after that, I color in the skin. For the skin, I use the same tool I use to mask out the characters, and I make another layer. I'm reading the script now, and it's way too scripted. So I make another layer below all the other colors besides the mask colors. This is way too messy. So I have the mask set on a different layer from the colors. I have the masking layer, then I have the color layer above it, and I clip it. I clip it to the layer below, which is the masking layer. And then once I get to the skin, I make a layer below the color layer and just circle it in with the other tool, with the masking tool that I used. And then, yeah, that makes sure that all the lines between the eyes and everything are filled in, so they'll color properly when I use the blending mode to color the lines. Alright, and once all the colors are filled in, I'll move on to shading. Am I too far away? I'll say that again. Once all the colors are filled in, I move on to shading. This is the most easy and fun part, so it's pretty great. It's the part where I know I'm almost done, so I'm really excited. But it's also fun because shading is always fun for me. Alright, so first I add some gradients to the hair. I only do this for the characters with dark hair, so in this case it's Luna and Adira, and they both have dark hair. So I select all the hair by going to select color gamut. This selects all of one color that you pick on a layer, so it's pretty cool. It's really handy, especially if you like messed up. Yeah. After that, I make a layer and clip it to the flat colors layer and put the blending mode on hard light. And then with my airbrush, I'll just pick their skin color, and airbrush in the hair around the skin, and it'll make a really nice gradient, and it lightens up their face. You can see their like emotion more because you can see their eyebrows more. Alright, and then after I do this, I actually do the shading. I really only shade the skin. Yeah, I do the skin. I do the color gamut thing on the skin, and then I create a multiply layer above the hard light layer, and then I just put in like shadows on the skin. I usually do the lips and the eyes, or not the eyes. I do the eyes only if it's like close up. But I do the lips, and I do under the nose and under the neck. That's my most common parts. And I'll add some shadows behind the hair. Once that's done, I'm done shading in the skin, I will put in some color in their lips and cheeks. So I have this color in my color palette tool thing, and I just airbrush them on. I make sure my airbrush is on multiply mode. Yeah, and then after that, I deselect the skin and I airbrush some darker colors onto like the bottom of their bodies. So yeah, that way it doesn't look so flat. Alright, then it's time for lighting. It's time for highlights. It's time for the funnest part. I add another layer above the multiply layer and make the blending mode glow dodge. Let me say that again. Glow dodge. Glow dodge is great. Glow dodge is great. Alright, depending on the atmosphere, I select one of my 3 lighting colors. Well, technically it's 4 because white is a lighting color. But yeah, I select one of those and I add in lights. I add in highlights. You can see now where I'm adding the highlights, just the hair and the nose and the lips and the eyes. Yup. I actually tried a new highlighting thing for the hair this time, so that's cool. Let me know if you like it. Alright, then after that, I colored the lines. There's a link in the description for my auto action. Wait, I should tell you what auto actions are first. Okay, so auto actions are they're really cool. They're auto actions. They're like automated actions. So you can record a specific set of actions that you do, like in Clipstudio Paint, and you can just redo them. You can just press play and it'll redo that set of action. So I have one for my lines, and voila, look, it's beautiful, isn't it? And so after that, I go to my screen layer, which was created in the auto action, in the auto action, and I erase just like the insides of the eyes to make them more detail, more depth. After that, what do I do after that? Oh yeah, I add a glow. So I add an add glow layer, and I I usually do like the color I use for the lighting in the backgrounds. That's what I usually do. So I do the add glow layer. I just add in a glow because it makes them glow and they deserve to glow. And then after that I add a texture, which I also have an auto action for. I think I linked that too. It's in the same asset that I linked down below. And then I add a color balance layer to make the colors pop a lot. Then I'm done. Then I turn on my sketch layer or my dialogue layer and I make sure there's no spelling errors and like it looks good. And then I export all the pages. Clip Studio Paint does have an option where they'll slice images for you for Webtoon, but I still use Photoshop for that because every time I do it anywhere else, the files are way too big and I run out of space when I'm uploading, and I don't really want to upload in like 3 different parts just because the files are too big and I can make them smaller in Photoshop. So I'll do a batch export for my pages in Clip Studio Paint, which is file, export multiple pages, and then batch export, and then I slice everything in Photoshop, which I'll leave a tutorial for that in the description as well if you have Photoshop and you don't want to deal with your files being too big. Now I'm done and I can relax until the next time that I have to make an episode. Yeah, and then it starts all over. So I learn something new every time I do an episode, which is cool. Yeah, like this time I did my hair different. So yeah, you'll learn. I've been doing this for like 3 years and I'm still learning. So yeah, I hope these tips help you. Like I said, it's really hard making a webcomic. It takes time to find your own flow and what works best for you, but it's really worth it in the end to see how people react to each episode and watching everyone be invested in your characters and your story as much as you are is really valuable in my opinion, and it makes me keep going. Whenever I'm down, I read the comments from my latest episode and it makes me feel so motivated. That sounded fake, but it's not. I swear. I'm just reading from a script. Yeah, I even have a folder on my phone of all the comments that really make my day and really make me feel better if I'm sad or don't feel like I'm doing enough, or if I feel like it's not worth it. I read those comments and yeah, it makes me feel a lot better. I appreciate every one of my readers. If any of my readers are watching, I just want to say thank you so much. Oof. That was a burp. I'm not crying, I swear. I'm not crying. But yeah, thank you. It really means a lot that you read my comic, even though it's kind of basic and and like it's just about life, and you know, some people read comics to get away from life, but I think life is great. I think you just got to make the best of it, and I want to show that in my comic. I want to show how important friends are and how important it is to treat others around you with kindness, and then you'll have a great life. Okay, that wasn't in my script. I just kind of rambled. Sorry. So if you guys have any specific things you want me to cover more in depth than I did in this video, feel free to ask. Comment down below, and then I'll help you if I can. I know a lot about coloring, so if you want a more in-depth tutorial about that, then I can do that probably. I don't know, this was really messy, so I have this whole script and I'm barely following it. Anyway, you can also contact me on my social media in the description, or you can join my Discord. We can just chat and talk about things. It's fun in there, and I'd love to talk to you guys more about the comic and what you guys thought and what you guys think's gonna happen. And before I leave, I'm gonna thank my patrons, my supporters on Patreon. Huge thank to Artblock, my friend. I didn't think this through. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you. I'll listen on screen and it'll be big because that's how much I appreciate you. Darkest Dream, David Singleton, George, Rebecca Brumley, and Unashamed Shipper. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot. I'm so happy that you spend money to see what I have to offer on Patreon. Alright, I guess this is goodbye. It was fun talking to my screen, and soon I'll be talking to you because you'll be watching this video hopefully. Okay, but goodbye.